Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in to Dave and Joe Liberty Stand. We are back and we're here with a vengeance. Yes. So this topic, as you see it on this video, save your spot. So what do we mean by that,
Okay,
Dave?
well, here's what I wrote down as a note, but we're trying to condense, for the titles of the show. Right now, Save Your Spot is our running title for it, but here's what I wrote down. The only way to save our country now is to save our little corner of it. And what that means is, first of all, like we were talking about before with the EU thing with Britain, was the best governance is the smallest. I mean, with the Constitution, every single one of us, we govern ourselves. We have the freedom to, as long as we don't infringe on someone else's freedom, we can do whatever we want and sink or swim on our own decisions and what we do.
Right. Okay.
And that's why I have all of this. And
Your castle.
but anyway,
Hey,
so
they see
it's
all
with
this.
yourself, and if you're married, it's with your union with each other, and if you have kids, it's with your family, and so on and so on. It's with your neighborhood. After that, then it's with your town or your city, depending on how big or small the place you live. And then after that, it's your state. The federal or bigger governing body over you, the biggest one wherever you happen to live. If you're in Europe or if you're in the EU, get out now. But anyway, it smaller is better. The federal government should have nothing to do with it. So the best thing you can do is be good to yourself. First of all, make all the right decisions you can for yourself. Try to, as I smoke a cigarette and have a drink over here, but you know what I mean. But
We're working on that.
I am. I'm working hard at it. But anyway, make decisions that work for yourself. If you're married, you guys got to make that stuff work for both of you. If you got a family, you do what's best for your family. Your neighborhood, be good neighbors, and and in your city, be involved with your city. Know when you go vote, you go, well, I don't really know who this, know this stuff going on in your town or city.
Yeah.
You can only, right now, no matter what happens in November with the presidential elections, there's no great person that's going to be president no matter what. At least for what's going on at this moment. Unless some crazy stuff happens, there's no good choices.
Crazy is definitely
you got to do what you got to do, and I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's up to you. It's a personal thing. But you can control your house and yourself, and
for now,
and be a contributing factor to your neighborhood and your town, and to your state. So control what you can control, and keep an eye on what you can't control. And the first chance you can control that, jump at it, and make your little, contribution to that. But you know what I'm saying at all? Am I?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one thing that came to my mind, though, was, I don't know if we want to get into this right now, is, with that being said, the neighborhood, your neighbors, get to know your neighbors. I mean, there was a story I heard the other day. This guy had like 8 young girls in his home, and the neighbors saw these girls, and but what I was getting to with that is kind of, are we gonna speak up even at the smallest levels and say, if you see something,
You're bleeding 2 shows.
well, I know what I'm saying. Is that okay though? Because that
Well, yeah. If you think some guys got
no, yeah. I mean, is the bleeding of the shows okay? Is what I'm saying.
I don't know. It's going to make us confused when we try to do that show.
Well, we won't do that one separately. But I guess saving your spot has to do with being aware of what's going around you. I think it does.
If you see somebody getting mugged or you see something wrong happening, I mean, intervene or
Call the police.
Call the police.
Well, everybody's got cell phones, so
Right, and record. Well, and don't no wait. I was going to say, don't just stand there and watch something terrible happen and record it. Go and intervene in that, or unless you're 100 or something like that, or you're.
Well, and the fear. What are the fears that we face with those situations, though? What are some of the fears that we would come up against?
Well, if you actually exercise your constitutional rights, you would be carrying a weapon. Okay.
Well,
So
I'll give you, for instance, okay, when we first moved into our home that we're in, not too long afterwards, within a year maybe, we heard some ruckus outside. So we looked, and like, okay, what's going on? You have to be cautious. Don't be stupid. Believe me, I'm more cautious than anything because I don't want to get in a fight or, I'm a chicken, so I'll admit it. So I opened up the door, and this guy was like going after this girl. This girl was in this car, but he was yelling at her, going at her. I think he was hitting the windshield or something like that. I just walked outside. I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" I didn't go right into the situation.
No, you're just
because that would have been. I probably would have gotten hit or shot or whatever,
stabbed. Or,
so you got to be but it kind of diffused the situation though.
Because it's like somebody's watching.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Right.
And so I think we called the police or something. My daughter was there, but it did diffuse it. I mean, it took a minute because he was hot, and I think the girl got out of the car. Then she was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
And then she had a pipe, and then he got the pipe. It's like he took it from her, but thank God, I'm like, hey, what's going on? And like standing there, because it was right outside, right on the road in front of our house. So like that kind of situation, you don't have to jump in and...
You live in a hood?
I live in this country, in this world. I live in this world. But anyways, that kind of thing. That's an example I thought of that I was involved with.
I've got many, especially down at this VP, because I go there a couple times a week, right?
Right.
And just in the last year or so, not much more than a year, there's been like a couple different incidents.
Were they mainly domestic? Did you? Because that was a domestic situation.
I went in there one time, and there was a guy outside on the payphone. They still have a payphone out there. Who has a payphone?
Yeah, how much does it cost?
And there was this young girl, this very, very cute young lady behind the counter, and man, the guy's screaming, and I noticed it when I was going in. I mean, the guy's screaming at whoever he's talking to, banging the phone against the, it had like a plexiglass thing, and cussing up a storm and all this stuff. And I go in, and man, we can hear it in there.
Yeah.
Exciting day, huh? He's been out there for a while. I said, well,
call the police?
Yeah, I said, you think you ought to call the police, or did you already? She goes, well, not yet, but he's just out there, so. And
so she was kind of hands off.
Now here's the thing: I can't drive, and my mom actually had picked me up somewhere to give me a ride, and was going to bring me home, and so she's out in the parking lot. And,
okay.
So I was like, what am I going to do? I don't want my mom being out there in the Jeep sitting out there. And I don't want to leave this young girl alone with this guy going. And then I see this guy, he finally, I was in there just talking to her for a while. I can see my mom, and I'm still there talking to the girl.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody else in there. And then this mom and a little girl come in, and they're looking around the candy and stuff. And I'm like, okay, there's other people there, although it's two women and a little girl. But, I knew my mom was getting freaked out. And I said, and the guy comes in, and he goes to the back to the not freezer section, but like if you want to buy a cold beverage or milk or pop or whatever, where they keep it's always towards the back of the store.
Right.
And he's wandering around back and forth, and I'm like, no, he's he wasn't yelling or doing. I mean, he was just pacing and looking in there in the glass through the glass, see what he wanted or whatever it was. So I thought, okay, and I only lived down the street. I mean, literally like 2 blocks down. So I jumped in, Mom brought me home, and I went in and I immediately called the police. And I said, "Look, I was in there. Here's the situation when I left." I told them what was up. I said, "Could you at least bring a cruiser in right
Check
now
out.
to make sure everything's okay?" So that's what I did in that situation. I mean, it all depends on your situation and stuff.
Right.
And,
But use sense, you know. But I think I don't know because there's so many different circumstances, and we kind of talked a little bit about that. Like if you're in a store and kids are cursing, or maybe there's kind of some kind of domestic dispute, or a parent with a child, and there's maybe maybe some borderline child abuse type thing, but. Being engaged, kind of think about how you might want to respond.
Right, and a lot of times it's just hang out. For a
Yeah.
while.
If your presence,
You don't have to be
may diffuse
right.
it.
Right. I
But
mean,
oh man, sometimes the way these kids are talking, though, man, I'm telling you, we got to wrap it up.
wow, we were over. Yeah. So
Wow, I like that.
take care of your little corner wherever you're
Yeah,
at.
and that has to do with it,
right.
So I like what you said though, because like I said with my situation, and maybe with you at VP, while you were in there, diffused the guy. So for you men,
well, I hated leaving though, but my mom was out there.
right? But I think for men, versus women, we need to stand up and protect the women and children. Period.
Right.
In so many different ways. So we better sign out. We can talk about that more later. God bless y'all. Thanks so much
See you guys.
for
Bye-bye.
tuning in.